Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I know there are different people from different time zones. Welcome to our Customer Success in a Snap webinar series. The topic for our discussion today is deliver awesome self-service on the Now platform. My name is Pooja Gupta, and I'm a program manager at ServiceNow. And I'm going to give you a lot more context into my role and the topic of our discussion today. But before we get into the details, let me touch upon a few housekeeping items. First, we will be taking questions, so please post them in the community page where you access this event from. I'll make sure to leave some time in the end to answer them, or one of our community experts will respond after the presentation today. Now, this live broadcast immediately converts into an on-demand video. So please do share the link with your colleagues who were interested in this topic but couldn't attend it live. And if you're watching this video as a recording, you can still post your questions below in our community, and our community experts will respond with an answer. Lastly, we would love to get your feedback so that we can continuously improve and provide you the most helpful and relevant content. You can find the survey link posted in the comment section on the community page. Okay, let's get started with the agenda. We do have a lot to cover today, and we will start some introductions and then dive deep into three key conversations: the importance of self-service, top obstacles to self-service, and potential solutions to improve self-service. We will then wind up with some key takeaways and questions. So let's start with the introduction. As I mentioned, my name is Pooja Gupta, and I'm a program manager with what we call the Best Practice Center of Excellence at ServiceNow. I and my team are responsible for creating best practice content that you, our customers, can leverage to realize greater value from the Now platform. If you're going to attend Knowledge this year, you will hear a lot more about my team and more broadly about our customer success initiatives. You will also hear about a new Success Center, which will host all the best practices that we are publishing and is also one of the things that I'm going to talk about today, the self-service. So if you're attending Knowledge, please do look for the Customer Success Pavilions for more detail on this, and I will also be there, so we'll be happy to give you more context or walk you through it. Let's get into our topic. I mentioned that we're going to cover three conversations today. First, we will talk about how self-service affects your business. Essentially, why is it important to focus on? Second, you will learn about why it is difficult to scale self-service. I'll highlight the top obstacles that we hear many of our customers face. And finally, you will learn about what you can do to improve self-service. Now, I do want to clarify here, we're not going to cover the technical details of configuring or customizing the Now platform for self-service. Instead, we're going to talk about the management decisions and key strategic choices that you need to make to continuously improve your self-service capability. Now, I know self-service can mean different things to different people. So let's first define self-service. The way I like to think about it, self-service is the ability of service consumers or the users to resolve their need on their own without having to contact the service fulfiller ever. So essentially, no phone calls, no emails, users resolve their need on their own. Now, this could be through the service catalog, the knowledge base, or even chatbots. If you think about self-service in this context, improving self-service becomes very critical for your business. In fact, based on research, 72% of users prefer to use self-service instead of having to call or email someone at the service desk. So it is what users are asking for or looking for. Self-service is also significantly cheaper than any other channel for customer support. As you can see in the graphic on right, resolving a request through phone or email can cost you anything between $5 to $12, while resolving it through self-service is as low as a dime. Think of all the money you can save by moving to self-service. If we get self-service right, the value outcomes are huge. When done right, self-service massively decreases the amount of effort users need to put in to resolve their need. It's, in fact, one of the key goals of self-service. And when users put in less effort to get what they want, it increases user satisfaction. With no wait time on calls, no back and forth on emails, and more streamlined provisioning, self-service decreases time to resolution. And it definitely helps in saving costs by reducing the number of support calls a service desk receives. Now, these are some really great outcomes that self-service promises to enable. However, many organizations struggle to realize these outcomes. Why? A common mistake they make is to think of self-service improvement as a one-time investment, one that depends on just making the technology available. But improving self-service is more than just having the right technology in place. In fact, it's a journey. It's a journey that one needs to take to continuously build, grow, and sustain the organization's self-service capabilities. To help you get started, we created a step-by-step best practice guide that is intended to provide you practical and actionable guidance on improving self-service. You can see the snapshots of that guide on this page. Now, in the interest of time, we are not going to cover everything that is on this guide today. The complete guide is available in our new Success Center. And as I mentioned some time back, you can find the link for it at the bottom left side of this page. It's essentially servicenow.com/success.html, and you can go browse through and find this best practice guide. Instead of going through everything on this guide, I'm going to talk about the top obstacles that we have seen our customers face in driving self-service success. We have these obstacles covered in the guide as well. The first obstacle is ad hoc self-service offerings. Most organizations lack a structured approach to identify and analyze self-service use cases. As a result, they end up with the wrong set of self-service use cases prioritized for implementation. Second, complex user experience. The basic premise that defines effective self-service is that it is supposed to be effortless for our users. But if that experience itself is complex, non-intuitive, or confusing, it deceives its purpose. Third, change inertia. Often it's not about what you have made available to the users. It's often just change inertia that hinders adoptions. Users simply are not accustomed, they're simply accustomed to picking the phone or sending an email for their request, instead of looking for something that they could do on their own. The fourth, also an important one, although self-service can improve support desk efficiency and lower cost for the entire service organization, it is not seen as an organization priority. Support staff, service owners, and others are not always focused on enabling self-service success. In the rest of our time today, I'll go through these obstacles one by one and talk about potential solutions that you could incorporate in your organization to resolve them. Let's start with the first one, ad hoc self-service offerings. When it comes to having a structured approach to prioritize self-service offerings, two things matter the most. First, what is the expected value, both from the business and the user's perspective? And second, how complex the solution is. You can see these two highlighted here. The expected value depends highly on the strategic outcomes aligned with your self-service channels, ones that you hope to enable, and the needs and expectations of different personas within your user group. So essentially what users are expecting. I'm not getting into the details of how to calculate that and how to measure that, but these two things are extensively covered in the complete guide on Success Center. What you see on this page under expected value are some sample metrics of factors that you could use to objectively measure the expected value of a use case. On the right, we have solution complexity, which is about the complexity of implementing or offering a use case as self-service. So it essentially depends on things like risk associated with it, interdependencies, amount of user data we need to capture, and complexity of approvals. Now, again, these are just examples of what drives the complexity of a solution. There could be other factors that you may want to consider based on your environment. What you're trying to get out of this is actually a 2x2 matrix to visually analyze the different use cases. Here's an example of what that would look like. On the x-axis, we have the expected self-service value, and on the y-axis, we have the solution complexity. The bubbles here are individual use cases that we are analyzing. The goal is to triage your approach. The use cases that are high in value but also highly complex at the same time are the ones you would want to target your investment towards and look for opportunities to automate. A perfect example here would be password reset. Definitely high value and then complex to implement, but automation can help. Use cases that are high in value but low in complexity are quick wins and should be prioritized. These are examples like FAQs that generally people have, what to do when they're having a baby, holidays. Others are either for future investment or simply nice to have. Things on the right, one with high value, are the ones where you need to focus on. Now, again, you can do this only if you have a defined way to consistently measure the expected value and complexity associated with the use case. And we recommend creating a close-ended scorecard to do that. One that captures and quantifies the key drivers we just spoke about and can be consistently used to measure for each use case. In the complete guide on the Success Center, we have actually provided you an example scorecard that you can use as a starting point. And we have also shown how that scorecard would work with an example. And I think we used password reset itself for it. So definitely go and check it out. Okay, let's talk about the second obstacle, complex user experience. Now, many organizations focus on making self-service extraordinary, delightful, and surprising for their consumers. However, what consumers or users are actually looking for is just an easy, effortless way to get to the right answer or to the solution they need. And how do you do that? You do that by creating an intuitive and human-centered design. I've listed a few principles that make the design intuitive and human-centric here. First, and the most important thing, is to have a single portal for users to access all their needs. Having users to log on to multiple different platforms is never a good experience. Second, speak in users' language. Often users don't use the same terminology as the service fulfillers do. It's important when users log on to the self-service portal, they're able to navigate through the taxonomy intuitively. And that comes only by using the right terminology, which is in their language, not the fulfiller's language. Third, adopt a mobile-first design approach. What many organizations do is they optimize for desktop experience, and then they try to replicate it on the mobile platform. But that doesn't really work. You need to first optimize for the mobile-first platform and then bring it back to the desktop. And a great way to do this is through the widget-based design used on the service portal at the Now platform. Finally, it is critical to personalize the experience to solve for relevant needs. ServiceNow has a lot of capability to define user criteria and make personalized recommendation and even proactively make suggestions based on known issues. Make sure you're using them all well. The example on the right of this page is an advanced view of what such a solution might look like. Now, another important factor in simplifying the experience and making it effortless is to support advanced search capabilities. Now Notice here, I didn't say configure advanced search capabilities, I said support advanced search. Simply configuring advanced search in your system doesn't guarantee accurate results. I'm sure many of you on the line today have experienced it. Advanced search needs to be supported with the right support structure to ensure it results in accurate and relevant results. The success of advanced search depends on how well the taxonomy used across self-service channel matches the user language. And it in turn depends on making the right use of the meta field. Now I know meta field is a hidden field, so many of our customers miss out on it, but it is very important to use it and have the right tags or search terms marked in it to ensure search effectiveness. Next success factor is having disciplined knowledge management practices. This includes everything from having the right roles and responsibilities assigned to having a defined process to create, review, edit, and even retire knowledge articles. Now, the first webinar that we conducted as part of our customer success in a SNAP series focused on creating a disciplined knowledge management practice. If you didn't attend it, you can find the replay link in the comment section on the community page. Lastly, to support advanced search, we need to have carefully defined user criteria. This would make sure that users only see what is relevant or applicable to them. Now, this brings me to the third obstacle for self-service improvement: change inertia on the user's part. Now, change inertia is a big issue. And in the complete guide, we have provided a number of ways to tackle this, ranging from giving self-service a brand to tactics like gamification. But what we think is most effective in solving for change inertia is to nudge users towards self-service in the moment. The image you see here on the right is a perfect example of such in-the-moment nudging. The user reports an issue: I'm having trouble logging into the Outlook, and he's provided with multiple different options to resolve it. Now, I know this is an advanced view, but it can be easily simplified. You don't really have to provide real-time data. You can simply provide average values, and that is easily doable. The important thing here is to highlight the right value driver for the user, one that user cares about, which is time to resolution in most cases, but it can also be things like accuracy depending on the use case that you're talking about. And always auto-populate the relevant knowledge article, whether it's in search bar or raising a request, and nudge users towards it. They're very effective in actually reducing the number of cases that are raised to the service desk. The goal here is to provide all the options together in one view with relevant details that help users make informed choices. In-the-moment nudging is a powerful way to get people to adopt self-service. Let's switch gears and move to the last obstacle that we're going to cover today. Self-service is not seen as an organizational priority. Why? Because too often the service staff is not clear on how they can help improve self-service, what their roles and responsibilities are, or even why they should care about improving self-service when their performance is not based on it. So let's talk about role and responsibilities. On this page, I'm highlighting 3 key players that play a role in driving self-service success. Process owners make the right experience available for the right people. They monitor and maintain the self-service experience. While service reps or support staff play a huge role in driving awareness on self-service offerings and educating users on self-service benefits. They are the ones who directly connect with consumers on a day-to-day basis to resolve their needs and can act as an excellent channel to source user pain points. And the third, knowledge management team. They are the ones who are creating and managing the knowledge base, which forms the foundation of self-service success. Now, I know none of this is new. I'm sure many of you on the line today already understand how different players across your organization can help build momentum for self-service success. And it's not just these 3. We could have other players as well, and we do cover them in the guide today. But the difference lies in clearly articulating them and making them official so that everyone is aware of what their role is and how they can help. So have these documented and clearly clarified to people. And it doesn't stop here. It is essential to tie these roles with the right incentives and KPIs to close the loop. Here on the left hand side of this page, you can see some common metrics that we find many organizations closely track to measure individual performance. While these may be good in highlighting the volume of work done, they don't incentivize for driving self service success. Instead, metrics on the right are the ones we think organizations should closely track and tie incentives with. You will notice that these metrics tie very closely to the overall self service goals as well. In the complete guide, you will find some more sample metrics that you can use, and many of them can actually be directly tracked through the inbuilt performance analytics dashboard on the Now platform. All right. This brings me to the end of the presentation, almost the end. So let's recap. Some of the action steps we spoke about to improve self-service are shown on this page. The first one is to have a systematic approach to prioritize self-service use cases. We discussed measuring expected value and solution complexity with the help of a close-ended scorecard. And then visually analyzing your findings on a 2x2 matrix to make the right prioritization decisions. We spoke about making the self-service experience effortless by creating an intuitive, human-centered design and having the right support structure in place for effective advanced search. We spoke about nudging users towards self-service in the moment to solve for the change inertia that users typically face. And finally, we discussed making self-service an organizational priority, clarifying roles and responsibilities and having the right incentives in place to make sure self-service success is seen as a priority. Now, like I mentioned earlier, what we discussed today is just a flavor of what we have covered in the complete guide, which is published on the Success Center. You can find the link for Success Center at the bottom of this page. The self-service guide is in the optimized section. And I will also post links to both the Customer Success Center and the self-service guide on the comment section on community. To wrap up, if nothing else, there are 3 things that I want you to take away from our conversation today. First, self-service leads to cost savings and happier customers. So it's absolutely critical to get right. Second, self-service success requires a systematic and collective approach. Most of the things we spoke about today are about creating such a systematic and collective approach. And finally, self-service improvement is an ongoing process, a journey. It's not just about making the right technology available. So if nothing else, these are the most 3 important things that I think you should walk away with. And then go take a look at the Success Center to find the complete guide, which will cover a lot of the things that we spoke about today. So that's all I had for today. And as a reminder, please post any questions that you have on the community page, and we will be sure to follow up. If you're going to be at Knowledge later this year, you can find me at the Customer Success Pavilion, and I'll be happy to give you a walkthrough of the Success Center or the complete guide. And also feel free to reach me on LinkedIn or via email. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you so much for joining.